Welcome to my stamp room. A couple weeks ago I viewed this really tremendous video by Creations by Christy that showed her fabulous stamp room. Granite countertops, really beautiful cabinets, and everything was organized. She had this huge space where she could have friends over. Then I thought, I don't have anything like that. But I thought you'd like to see what I affectionately call my stamp hole. And now as I open the door, I think you'll see why. It is a long and narrow room, but I have it chock-a-block full with everything I need to do my stamping. So I thought I'd give you a little tour about how the other half lives and stamps. So come on in. As you can see, there's lots of stamps, and it goes down about 19 feet. Or maybe it's a little bit more than that. So come on in, I'll show you how I store some of my things. Well, this is how I like to store my punches. I purchased a clear shoe holder, and I have it on the back of my door. And then I also have some shelving units over here that used to be used for rubber stamps, but now they're used for punches. And then I had a little odd collection of little holders and paper holders up here that the punches have migrated into. One time my husband came down, he felt the weight of the door go like that, and he said, "When did you get all these?" And I said, "Mom, I've been stamping for 20 years. And he just shut the door and left. Down on the floor, I have my storage for my 12 by 12 decorated paper. Not the perfect storage, but it's in there by color, and it works just fine. So, back over in here in the closet, I have a couple shelves that I use for my stamping things. The top shelf here has things like coasters and tins and just odd things that you would use that you wouldn't want in your regular stamping stuff that you don't get to all the time, like the glue gun and that type of thing is here. And then the shelf down here is where I carry all the other sprays and household cleaners, things like bleach and simple green and future floor wax and powders and duct tape and all that kind of stuff that you just use every once in a while, but you need for your stamping. Okay, so now I'll move on and I'll show you a little bit more about my stamping area. When I sit down at my desk, I really like how everything is so convenient. I have all my markers right in front of me. I have a light that shines right down on my work, and if I need more light, I have an OT light right here. But let's say that I need brads. I don't have to walk all the way across my room for brads or eyelets or glitter glue or stamping sponges. All I have to do is turn around because everything I need is right here. I have eyelets and the brads all in here. I have more different brads down here. I have glues and glitters in here. I have sponges here and over here. Rivets in here. And then there's all kinds of storage things here for little paints like Twinks and Flower Soft and all that type of thing. And then up here are all kinds of embellishments. Mom, if you can come over here a little bit more. I have all kinds of embellishments in these tool type drawers, and anything you want in embellishments. There's dominoes and beads and little flowers and pearls and rhinestones and everything I need, but it's just a swivel around for me. It's very, very convenient. And then while Mom is over here, no Mom, I'm going to do this is how I keep my stamp pads. And as you can see, Mom, you can probably scan down. There's a lot of stamp pads. I can do light a little bit more in there. And then behind the stamp pads is where I keep all my refills. So the stamp pads are in here by color, except for the distress inks that are on the top shelf. But they're in here by color, and then all the rankers are immediately behind them, so they're all real easy to find. And then back over here in my stamp area, to swing over to the top of the desk. Anything that I need that's a liquid that I need to get to quick, like a stamp cleaner or glue or alcohol ink type things, they're all in this little tray that's up here. So that works really well for me. Now, Mom, if you could scoot back to the door and go down to this drawer, I have a big file cabinet here. And in this drawer is where I keep all my paper scraps, and they're in here by color. So I try to go here first whenever I need smaller pieces of paper. The whole idea was to try to use all this paper up, but as you can see, it only half works. So if any of you guys can come up with a technique that uses lots and lots and lots of smaller strips of paper, well, I'm all for it. Down here is the area where I work on cutting and embossing and that type of thing. I have my scoreboards here, both of them. I have my paper cutter. I have my Big Shot here with some of the extra things that I use all the time. And then here to the side is I have a lot of my bigger Big Shot dies and my Tim Holtz dies. And then down here, it does look kind of like a mess down here, but I have all kinds of digitals that are printed out already that I can color or ready to make into cards. And then in these notebooks down here, this is where I first started to keep my decorated paper because I only had 8.5 by 11 paper. So these are all decorated papers in here by color. Then as I move over here, if you move up, Mom, scoot back a little bit. Here is my wonderful, wonderful slat wall. Unfortunately, the way I got it was that we had a local stamp store that went out of business, and I miss Stampity-Doo-Dah dearly. But this was a slat wall that I purchased from her when she dissolved her business. And before, I had this very awkward situation where I had a hook like this that was into the wall with doweling and a hammock that was made out of wallpaper, and it looked very crude. It functioned, it looked really well, but at least now this looks very organized and everything is all up in one spot, and I'm very tickled now to have it. As I move down to here, this is how I store all my 8.5 by 11 colored paper. It's all divided by color and then by lights and darks as you go along. And then I have all kinds of paper that's stored up in here, kind of that's waiting in reserve. And then any sheet of paper that I have that's a half sheet or a quarter sheet, I put into here by color so that I go here first before I cut a big sheet of paper to try to use up these sheets. That works pretty well. And then up here, I really like the way I have these stored. These are my dies that I use in my Big Shot, and I have 2 sets in each CD container, and then I have them stored up here in this CD holder right here. I had them in a box down here, but it just took up so much real estate that I needed for the top of my counter that I decided to put them in a CD case. And then, Mom, if you can back up a little bit. Besides the stamps that are up on the wall, I have a lot of unmounted stamps. I also store those in CD containers, like this. And sometimes they are mounted on foam, sometimes they're acrylic, and sometimes they're just bare rubber, and they're all in cases like this. Then I have a notebook. And each image is stamped and put into an area of the notebook. Like I have flora and fauna, there's an animal area, there's a people area, there's an area for sentiments. And then if I wanted hello, I would look in stamp case 150. So it's very convenient, very organized. This drawer has more of the stamp cases in it. And then the bottom drawer I use for my Stampin' Up! Sets that I did not disembowel from their cases. And then the one last thing that I want to show you, I'll have Mom move back for. Okay, this is an area where I keep envelopes and then various other things. But this notebook right here, this blue notebook, is where I like to keep my folders, my embossing folders. And these were plastic sleeves for cards that I got, and I put all my embossing folders in there. And there's lots in here, and then some of the bigger type folders from Tim Holtz I put in these larger 5x7 things. Very convenient for me. You just grab it out, plot what you want, and you're done. Okay, I'd like to thank you for coming and visiting my stamp hole. It's not very conducive to having friends down, and when you do want to have friends, you have to grab what you want and haul it all upstairs. But it does work for me, and the nice thing about it is that if you wake up in the middle of the night, nobody hears you working down here. The light doesn't bother anybody, the sound doesn't bother anybody, and while I'm here, I just turn on my little radio or I put on a CD and I'm happy as a clam. So it's not real fancy, but I really like my stamp hole. Thank you for visiting.